So the purpose of these meetings is not always bad. This group is only going to be together once. I'm telling you, it's only going to be together once. And the memories you will create with this group will last a lifetime, I guarantee you. Okay, so these meetings are beyond basketball. Sometimes these meetings are beyond basketball. They have athletic implications. The goal is to make you a better person and an athlete. So I want to touch today on the no complaining rule we have. We haven't had much of complaining, so I'm very thankful for that, other than seeing Zane do push-ups, Snapchat. Okay, what were you complaining about?
I don't.
Do I even want to know? Okay. But thankfully, we haven't had that be a huge deal with this team. I'm glad. But I do want to touch on why we have that as a rule and a standard. Okay, it's not just for kicks and giggles, but the no complaining rule is essential. So obviously, you know, if you don't know already, if someone is complaining, coach, player, manager, does not matter. Okay, if it's myself, Coach Parkhurst, or if it's Easton, if there's complaining going on, we're going to deal with it because we don't want that festering among us. Complaining does us no good, and I'm going to tell you why. So we want to eliminate it right from the jump. Okay, so the rule is if there's complaining by anybody, it's 5 push-ups on the spot. I want to hear from you a number of complaints you guys hear on a daily basis, whether basketball, school, life, family. Give me some of your complaints that you hear daily, or the things that people complain about and say.
Too tired.
Too tired.
It's a good one.
It's a real good one.
It's too early. Any other complaints you hear on a daily basis? Not enough time.
Lunch sucked.
I'll give you one. The ref made a bad call. The ref, terrible call.
I know what you're saying though, James. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're too hard on you in a drill, let's say that.
So those are a number of complaints you hear daily, and we're going to circle back to that at the end. But I want you to recognize that, yeah, these are all common. They happen probably daily. They probably happen by every single person that walks these hallways in every high school across the country. Why though? Why not? In the back there, I have the Live Above the Line sign. You might have heard that reference. But the Live Above the Line is a great standard to live by. Above that, you see some of those things that characterize living above the line. And then below the line, you have the BCD. We don't want to have blaming. And what is that? Blaming is saying, well, my group member in my group didn't turn their stuff in on time, so that's why we had a bad performance. Or my teammate didn't cut to where they were supposed to cut to. So that's why that play didn't work. Blaming doesn't get us anywhere. So that is something that has to be eliminated. Obviously, complaining about your situation, complaining about your current status, your role, your position, how much money you make or don't make, your job, all those things. Complaining is trying to shed any ownership that you should have and push it away. It's not taking any responsibility. Defending, that's defending your behavior. That's a way of complaining, saying, well, I made this pass because someone was supposed to cut here, so I just made it anyways. Or, in life, I rolled through the stop sign because I just had to go to the restaurant, or I had to get to my meeting, which started in 5. Defending your behavior. When someone asks you, hey, what you did was wrong, or why did you do that, and you defend it to try to make sure that you look okay. That is negative. That's not helpful to you. That's not helpful to a team or a group. And what you have is that E plus R plus equals O. I don't know if any of you know what that means. The event plus response equals outcome. Because we all have responsibility, right? We all have responsibility to handle our actions, to handle the no complaining rule. But the biggest part of that word is this. You have a response every time. You have the responsibility to take ownership of our team and your life. But in every situation, every responsibility that you're given, you have a response. You do. You have a decision to make whether you're going to take the high road or the low road. You're going to choose positivity or you're going to choose negativity. You're going to just toughen through it or you're going to complain about it. You have that choice. You have that response every time. I can't remember who said the quote, but it always rings true. You know, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. It really is true. You're confronted with so many situations daily, school and basketball, and you have to choose, how am I going to respond to it? Am I going to take the easy road and complain about it, or am I going to just say, hey, I got to get to work? And yes, we will all nod our heads and say, I will get to work, but more often than not, what comes out of our mouths and the actions that we have is complaining, blaming, defending. You have a responsibility. How are you going to respond to the situations that you have in life? Our society kind of puts up with that a lot. Our society tells you to complain. Let's be very honest with you. The society tells you if you complain loud enough and good enough, you will get your way. I'm sad to see that be the case, because that is not what we should strive to be, and not what we should strive to have. Society will say, just complain, get your way. That's how you should do it. Stick your foot in the sand, don't work, make sure everyone gives you and you don't give out anything in return. That isn't the case, guys. That isn't the case. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to the complaining behavior of your classmates. The complaining behavior you might get, when you go home. Hey, coach should have played you more. Your teacher should have gave you a better grade. So the complaining behavior has to start with you taking ownership of your actions. Okay. In your handbook, there is a little bit of a article I put, and it's called "The Cost of Negativity." It's in your handbook. I encourage you to take a look at it. But negativity in the U.S. costs our economy between $250 and $300 million. That's a lot of money. $250 to $300 million annually because of negativity, because of people deciding they'd rather complain. You know why I waste money? Because then people aren't productive. Companies, teams, groups aren't productive because they're spending more time complaining about the situation than actually getting work done. You can apply that to our basketball team too. If we complain about the situation that we're in, we're behind 15, or this is tough, coach is getting on us too much, well, it's not really being productive. That's not helping us use our resources wisely. Again, whether you have $250, $300 million, or you have $3 or $5, you don't want to waste money, right? And so when we realize the cost of negativity is $250 to $300 million every year, it's pretty crazy. 90% of doctor visits are stress-related now. You know that 90% of doctor visits are stress-induced because we are so stressed out because of the situations we are in life. Because we spend more time complaining rather than looking at what is the positive, what can I do to benefit the situation and be more productive. A study found that negative employees can scare off every customer they speak with for good. If you speak negatively at your work, you're going to lose business, which means you lose money, which means your job could be cut. Negativity and complaining costs a whole lot. And sometimes it's tangible like money, but a lot of times it comes in forms we don't even see. Negative emotions are associated with the following: increased lifespan and longevity, increased risk of heart attack, increased risk of stroke, greater stress, loss of energy, more pain. Here's two that are really good. Fewer friends. No one wants to be around a negative person that complains all the time. No one does. No one wants to be on a team with that type of person. No one wants to work with that type of person. And then finally, less success. You all claim you want to be successful in basketball. I want to be varsity by next year, coach. I want to set records. I want to take us to the state championship. I want to make $1 million by the time I'm 25. Okay, well, stop complaining and start working. You know, in 2002, there was a guy in New York that after going obese said, I'm going to sue McDonald's, Taco Bell, Burger King. He sued all the fast food joints because he got obese, and he said, I'll sue them. rather than take on the responsibility of my actions and resulting in my obesity. He actually went and sued those companies. Actually sued them. I look at some of these lawsuits, and I did the other day. It was amazing to see all the craziness that people will go through to make their life easier and just complain. I'll blame somebody else for my issue. I'll say it was somebody else's fault. I'll blame, complain, defend. It happens all the time, and people get away with it, and it's crazy to think. One guy I really respect for his actions, and you know who he is, Tim Tebow. After his years at Florida, where he was a renowned leader, renowned player, obviously had a pretty good college career, no matter what you think of his professional life, had a really good college career. He had a lot of people criticizing him, and he could have easily said, "Hey guys, why are you doing this to me? Like, look at me. Did you see what I did? I won Heisman trophies. I won 2 national championships in Florida. I set all these records. I was well known. I'm famous. Like, why are you criticizing me?" He could have complained right away. He would have been probably justified in his complaining to me. But instead, he immediately after he finished at Florida got to work. He decided, I'm going to put in some hard work to get myself where I want to get to, and he did. And then if you don't know his speech after, I believe it was Ole Miss, they lost one game his senior year, and he went out and he told the fans in a post-game conference, instead of complaining about, hey, the ref made a bad call, that's why we lost, he went out and said, you will never see a person or a player push his team harder, and you will never see a team play harder than you will see us play the rest of the year. And they went undefeated and they won a national championship. He could have easily complained. Instead, he said, I'm going to take action, not waste time on complaining, and go play. And that's what he did. Last example I want to give. And I mentioned the movie Lone Survivor earlier. It's a great, great movie. And I want to read a little excerpt about the book before I show you a quick scene from it. They were faced, Lieutenant Michael Murphy, Marcus Luttrell, Matt Axelson, and Daniel Dietz. They were put in a pretty tough situation where they were basically against 1 to 35. It was a 1 to 35 ratio of them against the Taliban. So it was a couple hundred versus 4. Okay, odds pretty tough. Could have complained, but you can't really complain when you got a couple hundred guys with guns going after you. You have really no time to complain. Okay, they were faced with a situation. They were on a ravine. Okay, if you can imagine a ravine and a cliff. Obviously, a cliff has a mountainside. There's a decrease in height there that goes pretty quickly with the rocky mountainside. And so they were faced with a choice, because in battle, if you don't know anything about battle, you obviously want the high ground, right? You want the high ground. You want to be able to attack down on somebody and push them down. That's why we want to attack downhill when we're driving the basketball, or push a guy to the sideline, because now we have the high ground. We have the high space. And so they were faced with being pushed down because the Taliban had the high ground. And so I want to read a little extra before I show you a clip, and I think this is so valuable that's why I practice time compared to this is I value this. Back behind the logs, we kept mowing them down on the flanks whenever we could get a clear shot. But again, the inflexible, unswerving progress of Sharmak's forces coming down the escapement after us was simply too overwhelming. Not so much due to the volume of fire, but because of their irresistible drive down the left and right of our position. The logs gave us good cover from the front and not bad to 90 degrees. But once they got past that, firing from slightly behind us on both sides, well, that wasn't the reason we jumped from the heights in the first place, risking our necks, not knowing when or even if we would land on reasonable ground. There was not enough of us to protect our flanks. We were too occupied defending our position against a head-on attack. I suppose the goatherds had told them there were only 4, and Sharmak swiftly guessed we would be vulnerable on the wings. I'm guessing a dozen SEALs could have held and then destroyed them, but that would have been odds of around 10 or 11 to 1. We were only 4, and that was probably 35 to 1, which is known in military vernacular as balls to the wall situation, especially as now we seemed incapable of calling up the cavalry from HQ. Right here was our 21st century version of General Custer's last stand. Little bighorn with turbans, but they hadn't gotten us yet. And if I had my way, they were never going to. I know all 4 of us though I know all of us thought exactly that. Our only option, however, was to go to flatter ground. And there wasn't any of that up here. They're on a cliff. That was on a cliff. There was only one way for us to go. backwards and down, straight down. Mike Murphy called it. They'll kill us if we all stay here. Jump, jump for Christ's sake, jump. And once more, all four of us clutched our rifles, stood up, braved the flying bullets, and headed for the precipice. We leaped into the void. Mikey first, next me, then Axe, then Danny. The drop must have been about 30 or 40 feet down into a thicket of shrubs alongside a stream. I want to show you what that looked like. Dude, you serious? You were going to jump 40, 50 feet down a cliff? Serious? You don't have time to complain in that situation. Complaining does us no good there. Jumped off a cliff, basically. With guns, rifles, things flying. Guess he had a punctured lung, broke his rib on the fall. He got his back up against a tree. I mean, that was real. That was real. And they actually did that twice because they had to keep retreating because they had nowhere else to go. The moral of the story, complaining is not productive. Complaining is wasting time. Complaining doesn't help us do anything productive. So when we say we're too tired, what can we do in response? Instead of complaining about being tired, what can we do? We could fight through it. We could say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to fight through it. I'm tired, but I'm going to embrace it. It sucks. You say it's too early. Hey, fight through it. Guess what? I'd rather be doing this. I'd rather be at practice. I'd rather be getting better, getting smarter. I'd rather be doing this than anything else in the world. Because by just going around saying, man, it's too early, what are you doing for yourself? How is that helping? How is that being productive? Hey, it's too early. You know what? It's early enough for me to start getting better today. That's what it is. Not enough. It's lunch sucked. That's a good one. Lunch sucked. What can we do in response? You know, I'm glad I'm getting fed today. I'm glad I'm getting my energy for the game today, for practice today. You know what? Maybe tomorrow I'll pack a lunch instead of relying on the school food. So that way I know what I will have. But you know what? I'm glad I'm able to have some food. There's people in the world that starve every day. People 30 minutes down the road in South Bend that are sitting on the street starving, and I at least get a meal. Too much work. If you'd rather have nothing to do and not be learning, not be getting better, not be getting smarter, too much work means you're getting a chance to improve yourself. You're going to have a chance to grow. You're too big, too athletic. Well, guess what we can do? We can then say, all right, rather than complain about how big they are, how tall they are, how fast they are, hey, let's make sure we run our offense, guys. Make sure we're cutting. Make sure we're in the right spot. Because if we just complain about how big they are, that does nothing for us. So let's move to be in the right position. Let's move to be in the right spot. It was a bad call. Ref made a horrible call. I called it off me, and now it's their ball with 10 seconds left, and we're down one. So now we're put in a bad position. Rather than complain about the call, because I've never seen a call reversed, I never have. I try not to get on the refs myself because I realize even though I'm the coach, what is complaining going to do? Really, what is it going to do? It's not going to do anything productive. I don't want to waste my breath talking to a ref complaining about a call when I could be talking to one of you or talking to all of you saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to solve the next play. All these complaints, some people might say, yeah, they're validated, they're legit, but they're not productive. Complaining does not take you where you want to go. It only keeps you status quo. You might get that this sucks moment. You might get that clench of the fist moment. You might get that yell moment, and then you move on. Complaining does you no good. It does us no good. In basketball or in life. So today when we go through things, sometimes it might be tough. When we go through our inbounds plays, this is boring. I don't want to do this. Why complain? You're getting the opportunity to get better, to grow. So that way tomorrow when we run those plays, when we run the I, then we're going to execute it and get 2 points off it and beat Northwood. And when we beat Northwood by a basket, we can look at that and say, you know what? I'm glad we didn't complain. I'm glad we got better at that because that won us the game. But at the end of the day, it's more than just a game, it's life. So limit your complaining in basketball and in life. Sometimes you gotta check yourself. I gotta check myself all the time. Stop complaining. Take the positive look on this. Because complaining is pointless. Complaining is not productive. Let's be better today by limiting our